So this week's episode of Vinland Saga, we had a little bit of a delay because of natural weather conditions pushing Vinland Saga to not have a time slot to air, so, well, obviously they gotta cover news and what's going on in Japan, things like that, so it's understandable that we got the delay. But we kick into this episode, which I honestly wasn't sure what we were going to get with this week's episode, because, we got this big battle that's basically going to be ongoing for a while, and where ultimately would they want to go? Would they want to just push forward, go to a different section of the world, or would they want to continue to focus on this big siege? And they continue to focus on it. But it was interesting with the direction they took it, because a good chunk of it was actually dedicated to Thorfinn and more or less the demons that kind of haunt him. I really like what they did with his dream sequence, because it starts almost like really pure. It really looks like, it's innocent Thorfinn. It's innocent kid. It's someone who's not tainted by bloodshed and just war and all the just horrible things that he's had to deal with since his father's death. It actually looked like a very peaceful dream. Like, it was clear he was dreaming. I don't think anyone's going to be shocked that he woke up from sleeping. But it was really interesting how they transitioned from a very happy and peaceful scenery of just everything he could hope for. Warm weather, his family, his friends. It just feels like a peaceful atmosphere. And then, of course, the arrows have to come in. I really like how they transitioned from this hopeful dream-like sequence, everything that his father wanted for his son, to then just transitioning into death and despair, which is absolutely contrasting what his father desired for him, but also mirroring exactly how he died realistically, waking him up from that nightmare. And just seeing how tormented he is something that's really driving Vinland Saga to be incredibly memorable for numerous reasons, obviously, but the idea that he's never got Stockholm Syndrome is something that's actually really impressive, because it would be incredibly easy for a kid as young as him to eventually just kind of grow accustomed to Askeladd. Say like, okay, you know what, maybe my father asked for this, it'd be easy to brainwash such a young kid. But this was such a hot-headed and really push-forward type of mentality that he couldn't really brainwash him. And to see just those simple words that will get spoken between them, oh, you couldn't sleep? Yeah, I guess it is pretty loud, they're kind of making a ruckus. And he just completely shuts it down, saying like, we're not friends, I'm going to kill you. He just throws it in his face, and I love how Askeladd is this type of person who he loves that. He loves how this kid, who he thought would be nothing at the start, is now giving him glares that, would actually make a lot of people shit their pants, but for such a troll like him, it just makes him smile and be like, that's my boy, that's my little killer that I keep. If he dies, he dies, but he's such a useful little bastard right now. It's so interesting, the direction they've taken this relationship, because it is so murderous, it is so twisted, but that's why it's so gripping. Within 2019, I don't think many people are going to argue that the bond between Askeladd and Thorfinn is one of the most memorable within 2019. And it's not memorable because they connect so perfectly and they're buddies. No, it is just vile, it's twisted, it's corrupt, it's manipulative, and that's why it's so amazing. And I love how he's being so tortured, even after all these years, about what happened to his father, and he's so bound and bent on revenge, while secretly in the back of his mind, even if he doesn't recognize it, wanting to have that future that his father dreamed for him, where it is just peaceful and warm, and war is nowhere to be seen. But of course, this is the era of Vikings. War is always on the horizon, and I love that. It was such a great way to really dedicate a good chunk of such a really interesting episode that may be viewed on the outside as not a lot happening, because yeah, you got some fights within the organization, you got the whole prince situation, but it wasn't like a big action spectacle like some of the other episodes, but it was just as interesting in my honest opinion. When it came to just the Thor and just the prince situation, though, I have to say, I love this man. He's just such a big fighter. He wants war, he wants to fight, he wants a challenge, and this has been such a disappointing circumstance for him because he's so strong, the opponents just kind of push back. Even when he's tossing rocks at them, they just don't move, they don't really put up a fight. But then when he learns that the prince is there, he literally gets the morale of all these people up and they charge in and kidnap the prince. Okay, that's kind of amazing. Like, I really like how with Vinland Saga, I don't have a favorite side, which is something that I think really helps separate this among a lot of things from other series with a similar premise or setting. Because the idea that with a lot of series, you would just focus on Thorfinn or you just focus on Askeladd, something like that. You wouldn't look at all of the sides and say, that's super interesting, if they win this battle, that's cool, even if they end up killing one of my favorite characters. Like, that's currently how I feel. And a story that can have multiple lead characters, or at least really important supporting characters that when they're on screen feel just as important and impactful as any of the main characters, that's how you know you have something special here with the formula. It's not even just like their personalities are just likable. They are likable, even if they are hateable all at the same time with Askeladd. Like, he's such a likable, hateable asshole, and that's why we love and appreciate him. But it's that the way they incorporate themselves into battles is so just unique and distinct from one another. You have someone like Thorfinn who come in and just brute force wiping out an army, and even if they could be outnumbered, the morale boost that they'll see from their leader just gets the job done, and they can end up capturing a prince. And then you have someone like Askeladd who, you know, a soldier coming in, they're on the same side, oh shit, can you even like lend 100 soldiers? If you lend 100 soldiers, we might be able to get back the prince. The man cuts off his head because he realizes that we're doing this alone. This prince, no matter who we hand him over to, that is a head with a lot of gold on it. And I just love that. I love how everyone is just so bound and bent for their own reasons. Sometimes it'll be heroic and, you know, and something that seems righteous, depending on perspective, and then you'll just have these twisted and bloodthirsty killers, and that's what's so interesting. A good chunk of this episode is just dedicated to the Vikings just saying vile things, like hoping that the war would continue because that's how they make their money. And then someone insults him, so they have a fight to the death. Like, this is the time period that we're a part of here. It is brutal, it is savage, and there's never any holding back. And I just really appreciate the fact that this is a series that I heard a lot of people, like, even though this has been in the series, like, honestly, this is probably the series that I've heard, please give an anime adaptation to the most out of anything that I've seen. I've also seen the most skepticism, as if when this gets an anime, there's no way they're going to be able to capture the brutality that the manga does have. And after seeing a lot of what the anime's covered up to this point, and I know we're just getting started, I could understand why so many people would be worried, because depending on the station that they aired in, depending on the studio and director's artistic vision, it could easily have went wrong. But with studio, they're taking their experience from all their heavy hitters and bringing their absolute A+ game. And it's just amazing. Like, every single episode, it doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter if we're sitting around in a camp. It doesn't matter if characters are just chatting and giving dagger eyes to another, or we're having a big and intense battle. It feels like the political landscape is vast and diverse. It feels like the personal stories are so motivated by self-gain, but also revenge, and then also some heroic kind of angles. It's a mix and match of just such a weird and just violent time period that feels like it knows what it's doing. I really don't think Vinland Saga's made any major issues at this point in time, and I can really understand why this is such a beloved series, and why I would be completely and utterly shocked if this doesn't get like 5 to 10 seasons, or however many seasons it needs to cover this, because based on what Wit's been saying and just kind of hinting at, it seems like this is going to be their next big project. They make a lot of money from it because they're a big part of the production committee, so this will be a big moneymaker as long as it does well streaming, merchandise, things like that. This is going to be a long-running anime, I can almost guarantee at this point in time, and I couldn't be more excited. Because it's not like one of those series where you feel like, okay, let's wrap it up because, you know, our characters have been around for 200 chapters. No, this is a series where there's so many characters that could run and just kind of lead this series in an interesting direction, either for an arc to 10 arcs. And that's what I love. There's so many ways for this story to be so long, impactful, and not feel like it's being dragged out, because this is the era of Vikings and so many personalities matter, and everyone has a story to tell, and that's what's exciting. Even if I have my favorite characters, when they die, I'm still going to have other characters that I'm interested in, and that's such an interesting feeling, which I don't see a lot of, especially in anime. I love it anytime the piano pieces kick into the show when we're trying to set the stage, especially in that dream sequence. Like, you know what's coming, you know it's going to turn into something twisted, but it just gives you that peace of mind for a second, and then it all goes to shit, and I just love how the music just really brings it out. Vinland Saga definitely is one of my favorite soundtracks of this season, among things like Dr. Stone and among others. There's a lot of great soundtracks, but Vinland Saga is definitely a step above quite a few, and I just love the emotional range to these characters, especially Thorfinn. I just love how, especially when he woke up from that dream, it actually did sound like someone having a nightmare, to then the rage that he throws on our boy Askeladd. It's just like, the way the actors get into their roles, you can't help but just smile, because it feels like everyone, they really like this show. They really like the character that they're playing, and it really tells by the overall personality and just stunning vocal directing that these characters are giving. It just, like, this entire production just feels like a match made in heaven. Everyone is giving their A+ game, and it shows in the quality Episode 10 of Vinland Saga did not disappoint. So excited for next week, but what did everyone think? For manga readers, anime originals like myself, what did everyone feel? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like and also hit that subscribe button if you have any news. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.